Previously on Big Tower, Tiny Square. Big Square dropped Pineapple into lava and ran away to this ice tower. Climb the Big Ice Tower, Tiny Square. Get revenge. Big Ice Tower, Tiny Square. Tiny Square will never find me here in my super cool Ice Tower Fortress. Hello, the peoples. Welcome to our Christmas Let's Play this year. 2 years ago, question mark, maybe 3, I played a not Flash game, but it could be a Flash game, Big Ice Tower, or Big Tower Tiny Square, as like a reintroduction to Let's Playing, and now I am doing a pseudo kind of sequel that just so happens to be a Christmas game. There's really not a lot to talk about. So, while we're just doing this, you're back, ready to climb this frozen tower and get revenge. Ooh, my microphone is in the way. Let's move that a little bit. There we are. Hopefully you're able to still hear me. So yes, now there's ice everywhere, which has, of course, ice physics, but most everything is the same. So, as I was saying, since this is basically just a standard don't fall in the water, it's too cold to survive, a standard rage platformer, mostly what I'll be talking about is just how awesome of a year this has been for games and movies and TV in general. The blue parts are ice. You slide much faster on them. Yes, I've noticed. There we go. Okay, screen transition there. Oof. Press R to respawn at the last checkpoint. I don't know what R is on this controller. It's triangle. Aha! Okay, figured it out. Sitting there thinking about it. So yes, as I was saying, this year has been particularly fantastic for recreational media in general. And as such, I have a lot of things that I would like to say, or say a couple words about, just in case you, for some reason, haven't gone out and checked out these things, or stuff that I thought was particularly of interest to me. Do I have a run button? I don't remember if I have a particular run button. Oh, I don't want that thing to shoot through the ice, which could be a problem. So yeah, let's just jump into things. Oh wait, first you. I set up the square lights because it's my favorite holiday. The Square-Miss, did he say, or Square? Yes, the Square-Miss. It's a Square-Miss game. Back to say what I was saying. So I'm going to try and loosely break this up into sections, starting with the movies that I saw in 2022. First off, and again, these are in no particular order, along with anything that I'm actually talking about, like I'm not going to get to my best. Anyways, Bullet Train was the most fun that I had watching a movie all year. It wasn't the best movie I saw, not by a long shot, or the one I can't wait to buy on Blu-ray to add to my collection, but I can see myself rewatching the movie the most out of everything that I saw. It's not dumb fun action, it's actually a really tightly constructed movie that, while okay, having trouble? Confused? Play the first game, then come back. Well, you know, I haven't actually gone back and played the first game in a minute. Where was I? It's actually a really tightly constructed movie that, while it doesn't take itself too seriously, does pay enough attention to detail to build to something more compelling than your average blockbuster action vehicle. I loved the ruminations on, well, it could always be worse, and what really is bad luck? The worst luck is the kind that gets you killed. And all life lessons can be learned from watching Thomas the Tank Engine. Like, seriously, I need Tangerine and Lemon to get a Netflix spin-off series. Moving on, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is a mouthful, is hands down the best movie of the year, and it should win all the awards as far as I'm concerned. It was the single most creative movie I had seen in, well, a hot minute. When did Sorry to Bother You come out? All right, what do you gotta say? You can swim through waterfalls, just don't touch the cold pools of water. Hey, a game that lets you swim through the waterfalls. Oh man, all waterfalls are swimmable. Fantastic, fancy that. Anyways, it felt more like a movie where everyone involved thought, well, they're never gonna let us try this again, so we have to nail it. And then they did pull off every single wild and crazy idea that they had. It had inventive action, it had deep emotional stakes. Press jump repeatedly to climb small wall gaps really fast. Yes, I've noticed. Well, It had some bonkers comedy moments. It had everything. And it's, okay, come on, what the heck? And it's now my go-to entry point for easing folks into radical nihilism of the totally tubular, awesome, wicked, radical kind. If anything could happen, or has happened, or will happen, treasure the stuff you got going on right now. Okay, so the trick is actually just pressing jump without holding a direction. Oh, it's also probably the most jam-packed movie full of interconnected layers of metaphor and meaning. I have spent hours on Discord yelling at buddies about this movie. But I mean, that's all just like film nerd wankery, and you don't need to enjoy that stuff to get anything out of the film. But I appreciate media that really rewards a closer look like that. Okay, so that's a trap. So, Nope is Jordan Peele's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's where I'm coming at it from here. It's this rumination on his role as a producer of spectacle. What do you gotta say? Do you believe in Father Squaremas? I think he's real. Right. As well as this mirror into the audience that consumes that spectacle. It's a slow and meandering film that takes its time getting to a big payoff, but it doesn't feel overly padded or aimless. More like a gripping campfire story being told in extremely well-rehearsed detail by this master tale weaver. It also has some absolutely incredible cinematography, perhaps the best day for night I have seen in a film. And when that spectacle does finally come and kicks it into overdrive, I had my jaw on the floor at points. Maybe the single most awesome thing that I have seen in theater, and I mean that in the like old school term awesome. It struck me with awe, and what I rushed home to gush about of, oh, you absolutely need to see this in the theaters on as big a screen as possible. If it weren't for Everything Everywhere All at Once, this should easily be my favorite film of the year. Come on. And also the one most jam-packed with details to pick up on during subsequent viewings. Yeah, but again, Everything Everywhere is just like, duh. So, The Batman. I'm not a big Batman superfan. I don't automatically consume every Batman movie or TV show, and Batman movies loom large over the industry. Especially considering Nolan's one of my favorite directors' previous work. Actually, brief aside, this year, because of this movie, The Batman, I went out of my way to track down and watch some of the animated movies that I'd heard good things about. So I watched The Long Halloweens Part 1 and 2 and Hush, but that's beside the point. Anyways, this is a lot of preamble to say that I just really liked The Batman. Like, maybe more than any Batman movie? Am I a sucker for Seven and that grittier noir take? I mean, absolutely. Do I think that Robert Pattinson is a totally underrated actor who just is recently getting out from under the shadow of Twilight? Yep. Will I fight about his surprisingly nuanced performance in Twilight to anyone who will ask me? Yeah, actually, don't get me started on that. Would me, the puzzle guy, absolutely adore the Riddler as a doofy villain who, might I remind you, in the animated series, is portrayed as a disgruntled ex-game dev who demands to be taken seriously? Yeah, absolutely. And would I also request that in future cinematic outings he be portrayed by Jonathan Blow? Very yes. Do I think that The Batman is very clearly two movies they smushed together? Yeah, okay, you got me there, but I don't think that that's enough to hold this movie back. It might not be the freshest or most original take. It might get kind of caught in the weeds. Okay, well, what do I do there? But this is now my go-to Batman movie. I mean, I think it's neat. What an absolute surprise of a movie See How They Run was. I had a choice to see it or Don't Worry Darling in theaters locally, and I saw, I guess that. I met Father Squaremas once. He brought me exactly what I wished for. What was that? Whoa! What was I talking about? Don't Worry Darling. Huge mistake, big waste of time. There's a reason it's not on this list. There is nothing worth talking about. But imagine my surprise when I did catch See How They Run on Disney Plus just a few weeks later, and it turned out to not just be a quick cash-in on Knives Out, you know, before Glass Onion comes out. Something that still hasn't happened as of the time of recording. I want it so bad. Or the recent Poirot films. And instead was a somewhat serious somewhat farcical send-up of whodunits, played for the most part straight. Stupid bacon lasers. So yeah, while also still working in a fair amount of meta-commentary on the genre that absolutely landed for me. I'm a big fan of the meta-narrative and meta-commentary and like the self-reflection. I mean, it is still discount Knives Out by way of discount Wes Anderson, but those things are still high quality, and I'm a sucker for them. Plus, I will stand by my statement that every movie would be improved by the presence of Sam Rockwell or Saoirse Ronan. And this movie stars them and Adrian Brody. So like, come on, win-win. The last movie that I want to talk about, and it is the movie that I've most recently seen, was Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Getting Harry Potter to play the single most talented, gifted, and all-around successful artistic genius of the past 40 years in a biopic that is so bold in its vision and so exhaustive in its scale to even include an aside about the extra-legal intervention its subjects conducted into the Colombian drug cartel, while still having a heartfelt message about pursuing your passions and not letting anyone or anything get in the way of your dream to write and record previously released songs, but this time with slightly altered lyrics to give them a new, more humorous effect. Oh, shot over it. As I was saying, I mean, yeah, I think that was a good choice for casting that they made. Oh, yeah, I guess Weird Al Yankovic's story was a pretty okay movie. You know, as far as movies locked behind some streaming service I'd never heard of before go. Strange guy, never really heard of him before. I think old people like his music. He hasn't really done much in the last decade, but I should probably check out his stuff at some point, you know? So, movies that are not on this list because I haven't got to see them yet, but I really wanted to, was Triangle of Sadness, The Menu, Glass Onion. I didn't get to see The Northman or Crimes of the Future, so I can't accurately like talk about those. Not only did I watch a lot of movies, like I always do, I actually watched a couple of TV shows this year. I heard Father Squaremas is easily convinced to do things. Has he helped you? So I don't watch a lot of TV normally, because one, I spend a lot of my time watching movies, as you can probably tell, and two, just because TV is this large time investment for something that might not even be a complete narrative, or it just has so many different creative voices pushing it in all of these like different directions that it comes out as kind of a mixed bag. Severance had me glued to the screen every single episode, and while, yeah, it did actually kind of end on sequel bait, what we did get, were it to stand alone for the rest of time, was more than worth it. Oh. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I read or saw something about the showrunners shouting out the Stanley Parable as an influence, and yeah, I could absolutely see it. Come on. Just an absolutely haunting and yet at times just like laugh out loud hilarious in this bleak and oppressive look at office and corporate culture. It's kind of like a slightly more Kaufman-esque take on Office Space. I'm sorry that it's locked behind like Apple TV. It's amazing. But it wasn't the best thing I watched on TV this year. Oh. On the other hand, sometimes I do watch entirely too much TV. Mind you, that is usually when a long-running series is finally over and done with, and the verdict is, yeah, it's good, stuck the landing, absolutely worth the 50 hours of your life. That was the case with Breaking Bad, a show I had completely devoured just in the back half of season 5. Like, as I heard that it was wrapping up and people were like, no, it's still good and it's going to land, it's like, okay, time to buckle down and watch 4.5 seasons of TV. 5.5. I can't count. I'm instancing from 1 instead of 0. Anyways, where was I? Right. So I just like basically had it there, caught up in time for what I considered at the time the most satisfying narrative conclusion I think I had seen ever. And then Better Call Saul blew even that out of the water. Like, Better Call Saul ended this year. Mind you, it took an additional 6 seasons to not only create its own identity that I think 100% stands alone without the need to have seen Breaking Bad, but it also managed to do all of that while fleshing out Breaking Bad's universe to the point where I think it so completely enhances Breaking Bad that I am now going back and doing a TV show rewatch, something I never do.
I wonder if I could have came up from the bottom of those platforms. Oh well, already didn't do that.
So yeah, Saul, it's a good show, it's great TV. It might be my #1 all-time best TV show ever, except, I mean, True Detective Season 1 is just 1 season, and it's better than all of Saul. But like, pound for pound, if it wasn't just like 6 seasons of investment you had to get through, 11 if you're including, Breaking Bad.
And what do you got to say? Big Ice Tower. I just understood the pun. I'm kind of slow.
Oh, god damn it, I didn't get the pun.
Big Ice Tower. Well, is it a pun or is it a play on words?
Woo. And we were talking about... Right. I can understand that being a bit much of an investment that I'm not comfortable pushing on people to seek out, even if I can't think of a single person who would regret any second of it. Not on this list because I'm not a big TV guy, and these are long-time investments, and some I haven't watched or only seen an episode of and will watch eventually. Smiling Friends. Hello, I'm Mr. Frog. Our Flag Means Death. The fucking Dragon Show, whatever it is. The Rehearsal. Cabinet of Curiosities. Wednesday, which I got the first episode of, and I probably should finish watching. And Andor, which I've heard nothing but good things about. Again, all of those that I mentioned, I've only heard good things about. It's just the time. It's so much. Okay. I actually have notes for this one because I need to look at the dates that things came out. It's important. I don't listen to a lot of music. I don't have a job where I can have radio playing on in the background. I have to be constantly like pausing and starting things. I go for long walks, but usually I like to be listening to like a podcast or an audiobook. Music is something that when I do listen to, I actually try and like block out time to sit down and pay attention to what I'm consuming. So I mainly just listen to albums, big like actual solid. You sit down and you listen to the release, not piecemeal stuff. So Spoon, I think, is my favorite band. Maybe not ever. There are other bands that I like more than Spoon, but those bands have not put out music in a decade or have broken up or stuff like that. But Spoon is still making new music, and holy Christ on a cracker, is Lucifer on the Sofa amazing. It honestly might be their best album ever. It is the distillation of everything that they have done before it, with all of those lessons learned.
Well, this is a gauntlet.
And then developed. There is not a single standout song. They are all standout songs. There's not a single stinker. It is an album that I can listen to front to back and then just start it all over again. It is an album I will put on shuffle while doing some quick tasks around the house. It is a whole album that I have added to my mega playlist of songs to just shuffle through. And
what am I even doing?
Every single one of them gets me bobbing my head when it happens to come up. I could sit here and prattle on about every single track in depth. What other stuff has come out since February? Yeah, that's right. This came out in February this year. This is how this year started for me. So this is what I have spent the most time listening to, and see myself continuing to listen to this the most out of all the albums that I'm going to now name, just because it happened to come first.
Okay, this screen is getting to me.
I will admit that I am late to the party of being a Father John Misty enjoyer. I had just found out about them at the tail end of 2021 through their song Pure Comedy as part of a playlist that I found as part of a tweet about songs that are just existential angst in list form. We all know that I love a good listicle.
Oh no!
That included things like We Didn't Start the Fire and The End of the World, and what probably spurned creating the list, Funny Feeling from Bo Burnham's special. And on that, also, there were 4 other John Misty songs from just the album that was also self-titled Pure Comedy.
Oh, fuck off.
So that song wormed its way into my ear pretty hard. I was hooked.
What the fuck was that?
This was my kind of like big, bombastic, overly produced and layered, sardonic, tongue-in-cheek, and bleakly hilarious kind of shtick that I could just sit here and listen to for hours. And then I sat there and I listened to it for hours. Like it hits the part of me that's like a theater kid. So for a large part of this early year, I just had Pure Comedy and God's Favorite Customer, the 2018 follow-up album, just on repeat. And then, whoops, surprise, in April they dropped Chloe in the next 20th Century. And it's just more of the same. So I got just a brand new album that hadn't existed before. So a good time to be a John Misty fan, I guess.
Okay, oh, what?
But it's also like a bit more pulled back.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a thing.
And it's kind of less mean, or maybe it's less unsympathetic and self-deprecating. I don't know. It's a different flavor. And while I honestly think I preferred it a little bit edgier, Chloe still has some top-notch bops. I'm super glad to have a new album from an artist that just popped up for me. Same month, the exact same day that Chloe dropped. Jack White, surprise, released Fear of the Dawn. I had no idea this was coming. Again, I don't really tune into the music release discourse or hype. I listen to what people I know are listening to or recommend it or just happens to be playing when I'm around. But Jack White is like one of the few artists that I have glommed onto and just kept up with from like way back in the White Stripes days.
You want me to land in that, do you, eh? Oh, that's what you want.
This is early developmental music taste for me. So,
don't let your checkpoint reset.
I was a bit, I'm not gonna say disappointed by Boarding House Reach, the previous album. It was just kind of less rock and more experimental for my tastes. So, you know, Fear of the Dawn, it's still experimental, but it's really drilling down to like that riff rock roots of why I fell in love with Jack White. It's got these sharp as razor guitar riffs that'll just kind of be stuck with me forever, and this bombastic theatrical flair for production. Look, okay, so Jack White has always had a thing for blue, like he's like a big semiotics and symbolism kind of guy, and he dyed his hair blue.
Wow, I can't believe that worked.
This time around, it's a really striking look. But I swum to friggin' John. The man had put Miku Vocaloid pedals on one of the tracks on this album. Like, so it's a guitar pedal that takes your input and it turns it into Miku snippets of going, like, I'm not shitting you. And it's like, it's just sitting there. It was not, 2022 is a weird year, dude. And so, like, throwing in Miku was everything in the kitchen sink. And I thought, okay, that's all Jack White has to say for this year. He's done it. He's ran out. Nope. Just a few months later in July, he puts out Entering Heaven Alive. If Fear of the Dawn was more experimental while still being hard rock,
shaving a haircut. What was I saying?
This is more in line with like his Raconteurs style. It has some reimaginings or different takes on some of the tracks from Fear of the Dawn, so I can understand why these two albums kind of wanted to come out in the same year. I think probably as a whole, I like this album more so and the covers of the earlier songs on this. So like, my listening to things time have been more focused in other areas for other reasons, and these two Jack White albums have kind of fallen off of my rotation, but
how the hell did I get up here? I'm just looking for a bathroom. Cool, bud. Ice cool. Oh, no.
And you knew what was coming. I mean, grass grows, birds fly, the sun shines, and King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard just managed to put out another 3 albums this year. 2 of them in October alone. This first album came out back in April. Also, my goodness, April was just so packed for albums. And it was Gatherum. Oh boy. Time for your revenge. Finally! That last ending sucked. Oh.
Tiny Square, I'm so happy to see you. Hopefully there's no hard feelings about what happened to Pineapple, right? I can either revenge or forgive. Don't do it. Vengeance will not bring you closure for what happened to Pineapple.
No, we're gonna do the thing.
No! Oh my god, you killed Pineapple again!
All this ice must have screwed the revenge switch circuits. The actual revenge switch must be back down at the bottom of the tower.
That's right. I'm doing this gimmick again. Good luck getting to the bottom of this tower. That was sarcasm. I don't wish you good luck. Though, knowing the almighty creator, that switch at the bottom probably doesn't even kill me.
We got a thing going on? Are you done? Was that it? So yeah, that's halfway. Now the reverse. Oh, and forgive didn't do anything either. Cool, good to know. No, just no, not this again. Bad developer, bad. More to talk about on the way down now. The opening track, The Dripping Tap, is what stands out to me. It's this 18-minute long jam session that is a no bars held too long, constantly evolving and yet every so often calling back psych rock track that has so thoroughly wormed its way into my head that, hey man, feels like I was just here. Pineapple survived lava, but can it drown in cold water? I don't know. I basically forget what else is on the record. Oops, moving on. Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava is opposed to Omnium Gatherum. Yes, that is a mouthful. Also, maybe don't eat all those things at once in your mouth, or like maybe some of them ever. It just kind of has this problem where its second track is the standout bop that I have on repeat. It's a late addition to what easily could have been the bop of the summer, Ice 5, or Ice V. Thankfully, I don't have to go that far the other way. It's Ice 5. It's a joy to listen to. The rest of the album, I forget it. It's completely escaped me. It's Giz. They pump out so much dense and playful music that I basically need a whole year to just get cozy with one of their albums. And again, it's Giz, so they put out so much music that I'm still playing catch up with last year's. Oh, right, so that was in October on the 7th, and then in October on the 28th, they released changes. So, yikes. This one, it's, well, again, there's a 13-minute long opening titular track, and it's, wow, it sure is another bop and a half. And then half again, and then half again, because it's 13 minutes long. It's just a bunch of these short song ideas that are all strung together, like masterfully. These guys, like ever since Nonagon Infinity, you know that they know how to write all of the vibes and then make sure that they are just seamlessly woven together so that they flow. Though, for me, Hate Dancin' is the standout on this album. Such a mood. I love its evolution throughout the song, even if it's like very simplistic arc. Yikes, I was the one responsible for the revenge switch function. Uh-oh. And though it might be a bit repetitive, I hope that because of this, they get a lot of like pop airplay, because it is easily their most like accessible pop music that they've released, since like Fishing for Fishies? Yeah, it was Fishing for Fishies. So that's kind of the music that I was listening to this year. Not a super long section,
Whoa, I forgot that there was a thing down at the bottom there.
Okay, let's talk about games. I know that I made an oblique reference to the Stanley Parable earlier in movies, but we're just gonna have to move on because I don't have time to discuss everything that's in the Ultra Deluxe there. You should go and play it. It kind of has some sort of like, that's gonna be a tricky lip. Okay. So yeah. It has amphibians who will guide you through how to do long division in it, is the way that I'd put that.
Goddamn Alcatraz over here. Whoa!
And if you know, you know. And speaking of knowing, Rogue Legacy 2 is one of those rare sequels that so completely improves on the original while still just being more of the same. It completely replaces version 1. Like, this has to be the most bare bones action platforming that I could possibly think of, and yet it is basically perfect in execution with no glaring flaws and so much room for depth and mastery. On top of that, it has some of the most extensive accessibility options that I have seen outside of Celeste, in the form of the house rules.
What do you say? Wish really hard for Father Squaremouth's help. He's real, I promise. This, yeah, you were gonna absolutely do that to me, weren't you? Okay, catch you on the back swing.
I hope this style of options just becomes standard operating procedures going forward. And speaking of accessibility options, I can't not shout out Tunic for being a good Dark Souls by way of Zelda that somehow really clicked with me, but there's some caveats there. Like, y'all know that I'm bad at video games, and I can't even get past the bell gargoyles in Dark Souls 1. Yeah, the spoilers, there's no Elden Ring talk on this. FromSoft games are just not for me, it turns out. And yet, somehow, I managed to derp my way through Tunic through just sheer brute force, probably a lot of dumb luck, and entirely just face tanking everything I could. While some people will absolutely find the balls hard combat and reflex challenges to be too much, this game does offer a god mode that completely turns off damage, which is not really great for an accessibility option, in my opinion. Because then you're gonna ask, like, well, if you turn off all the combat, what's left in the game? Now, note at time of recording, I have found out that they have gone back and patched in, like, half damage or double health or some sort of, like, middle ground for the accessibility options, but
saw the saw blade on the wall there too late.
But yeah, what is left in the game? Turns out, it's got lots and lots of Witness-style puzzles, and a whole back half that I don't mind spoiling is pretty much purely environmental puzzle work. Oh, yeah, the game has this neat little gimmick of a manual written in an alien language that, 1, there is no in-game key or Rosetta Stone for, and 2, you will need to decipher if you want to get the super ultra 100% completion ending. Like, this goes way beyond the pale for me. I cannot, in good faith, ever recommend Tunic to anyone. It is too hard action-wise and asks way too much puzzle-wise if you're a little puzzle freak like I am. Ah, bastard. It just left me unsatisfied at every turn. Either the combat was dumb and easy or way too hard. And same with the puzzles. They were pretty forgettable, like, spoilers, kind of Fez-like in nature, or put on your crazy cipher solving hat. It wasn't actually until weeks after,
Whoa, what the fuck was I doing there?
Many frantic Discord messages with Braz and Brick picking this game apart that I realized, hey, I never did actually roll the credits. I just did almost the everything, including to that crazy 100% completion, and I just never turned in my homework. Whoops. But hey, wow, you can totally take most of, if not all of the pretension out of a Jonathan Blow game, and it's still just a fantastic puzzle game. Taiji is just Indie the Witness in that it is a whole set of new puzzle panels learned through trial and error / the scientific method of guess and check iteration, with a good dozen unique rules to learn and the 2 flavors of puzzle symbols and environmental clues. And it even has a decent hidden endgame meta puzzle, as well as a whole bonus zone of some of the best head scratchers that just wouldn't quite fit with the other area's flow. So I had been looking forward to this one for years, and I'm glad that it finally came out and was exactly as good as I was hoping for. I have 91 hours played in Vampire Survivors at time of recording. This game is crack. It is digital slot machines. I could have just fallen there, god damn it. It is the best numbered goes up game I have played since Risk of Rain 1, and in fact has completely filled that long dead void in my heart. Like, we're not getting a Risk of Rain 1 remaster. It's not happening, so I need something new in my life. It is 30 minutes of a good time consistently and reliably. It has been a companion every week or two since it first came across my radar in January 1st because it is an early access success story.
Haha! The bacon serves me no more! Okay, where was I?
Maybe the best one I can think of in recent memory that had constant updates. So I have 100% of the 142 achievements. Update until DLC literally just dropped, and that number is now 159 achievements, and I need to freaking go back. And I don't normally 100% games. Heck, I don't finish a lot of games. Oh, did I mention that this game is less than $5? I actually don't know what the experience would be like for a newcomer. This might be completely overwhelming in its current state, but I also did get my buddy Chalice into it recently, and they still seem to get it and not be scared away. I'm not even joking when I say this is easily my game of the year. Oh, yeah, they made a new Pokemon game this year. Well, actually, they made 2, but I still haven't played the newest mainline one, as Not a Girl Face has been monopolizing on the Switch for now. What I did do was play the first few zones.
Sorry about your head, bro. Do you think Big Square was honest about reconciling? I have no idea. I don't choose Mercy, man. Mercy's a fool's game. Ah! Come on!
But I haven't actually finished Arceus, Pokemon Legends Arceus. And this was the shot in the arm, the breath of fresh air, whatever other metaphor you want, that the Pokemon series needed. I really enjoyed the gated open world and the checklist numbers go up grind, actually making catching them all the point, how less of an emphasis was placed on Baby's first turn-based battle system and all the tedium associated with it. And I even liked the crafting and exploration and stealth and just all the other system that the game kept throwing at me. Please, Pokemon Company, just iterate on these ideas. Move more in this direction, and hopefully you can also play catch up on the graphics to just at least get within 2 console generations behind what is current standard. And then maybe one day you'll actually make a game I'm perfectly happy with. As it is, it's the one game on this list that I'm like the most excited to get back to and just see through to the end. Probably more so than picking up Pokemon Ketchup or Mustard or whatever. Okay. Signalis should be my game of the year.
Oh, well, you know, there is that.
If Vampire Survivor wasn't a thing.
You know, something I want to talk about, just pausing the discussion for a minute, is like, you'd think that these are pretty simple games with not a lot of like actual design beyond just the basic physics of it going in, but like, think about it. These were the early rooms going one way, and they weren't particularly difficult, and there was a somewhat of a difficulty curve going forward, and now going in reverse, that difficulty curve is still continuing. Like, it is maybe not like a constant slope upwards, but it does have a rise and a fall, which is good game design, you know, tension and release. And this is significantly harder going backwards than anything we did going forward, or just about anything. I've been having a hell of a time with these last couple of rooms. Which is saying something, you know? That's good palindromic design. Anyways, as I was saying, it just came out recently, so late in the year.
and some people might be sleeping on it because it's another retro-inspired, lo-fi, low-poly anime robot horror game that is wearing its Resident Evil and Silent Hill on its sleeve, or probably more accurately, like a flesh suit. And I mean, they'd be right to say all of those things because it is just all of those things. It's also one of the freshest sci-fi stories I have seen in years. It absolutely does not hold your hand trying to figure it out, and will happily name drop things like The King in Yellow or have wall-to-wall overlook hotel carpeting. And as such, it goes on some absolutely bonkers tangents and to some wild places. This, and I am quoting Jacob Geller from his year in review video, might just be the textually densest game that I have come across in a hot minute. Oh, and I mean, it's also like a really solid old school survival horror game with some banging inventory puzzles that are not the standard dumb fare that you see in something like Silent Hill or Resident Evil. Like, there's actually some good puzzle design in this. This is easily the thing that I would most recommend if you are a mark for this retro survival horror genre, or sci-fi in that general. So not only did Taiji come out this year, which already would have made it a great year for puzzle games, but someone also managed to make an Obra Dinn-like. I think I'm gonna start calling these types of games information comprehension games. So, you know, like A Hand with Many Fingers or Outer Wilds, where if you know the things, there isn't much game there, and it's all just knowledge checks. But the actual puzzling out of that information is where the game is, and boy, it's a fun time doing that.
Ah, you just about got me.
So the Golden Idol is in the style of Obra Dinn, with somewhat freeze-framed vignettes done up in this like higher detail than would be expected MS Paint adventure game art style, but it has you piecing together a lot more information from this zoomed out, omnipresent perspective.
Probably good you put Pineapple out of their misery. What? Screw you, buddy. I jump on your head. I jump. Bounce, 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 bounce. Where was I?
Over a large number of years, all about these like gruesome deaths surrounding the titular Golden Idol. So saying anything more just gives the game away, as is the nature with these information comprehension games. And while it's not quite the 10 out of 10 experience that Obra Dinn was, this is still very much worth the time of anyone who likes a whodunit. Platonic also came completely out of the blue for me. So after 20 minutes of watching Alex Diner's first episode of it, I was yelling at Raz that we need to play it, and boy am I not disappointed with that decision.
What do you gotta say? Big Square got you a gift? I never get anything. It got me the gift of murder.
And you get murder.
I mean, actually, no, that is technically a Christmas vine? I don't know. No, that was a vine, right? Yeah.
Still got more to get through. This is as close to a REM-like as we've been able to find, though it takes a bit of a curve to get there. So what starts out as a few walled off, simple little zones of rather mundane puzzles soon just kind of sprawls out to an interconnected hub with some really devious head scratchers.
I got bounced up into the ice cold water. Oh, yes, you absolutely do. That's a problem.
That had Raz and I fiddling with them for upwards of an hour at times. Heck, I had to sit down with a pen and paper and work out a bridge traversal puzzle.
I swear I saw Father Square Miss flying around. Did you see that?
In step-by-step instructions over one of the week's break that we took, like just sitting there over breakfast. And it still took us more time once we sat down to actually work through where I had to troubleshoot my theoretical solution. Also, unlike Tunic, you can reasonably solve the big super nerd, literally very end game secret, and it is 100% worth it, and everyone who is mad enough to try will feel rewarded for doing so. This is a butt-face guarantee. So this is the best big boy missed 'em up in years, in my opinion. So that's every game that I played, in 2022, that had come out in 2022. There are two other games that get special mention. So these are games that I had first played in 2022 that I will forever associate with this time in my life. The first, Infra, from 2017. Raz and I streamed our 40-hour-long blind experience with Infra, which is a walking simulator where you take pictures of safety hazards.
Hey, what are you doing back down here? Oh, yeah, revenge and stuff.
In various industrial environments in all sorts of stages of disrepair, and it might be the highlight of my whole year. I'm not joking. It's a 40-hour walking sim. Going into it, we expected nothing. I was actually a bit concerned that it might turn out to be a short and underwhelming cheap spook 'em up, the likes of which get dumped on Steam for the internet yelly men to react to. What we got was like this really gripping narrative about a city in desperate need of one man. And that man's name was Mark. And Mark had the worst day on the job anyone has ever had. And that job was taking pictures and urban spelunking. Now, it was light on the puzzles, and the puzzles that were there could actually mostly be left unsolved. And whole areas were surely missed because we just didn't find everything. Again, in our 40 hours on the job as Mark. But we did fix no fewer than 3 whole water treatment plants, and those were hours-long ordeals. And I will carry the game in my heart for a very, very, very long time. NaissanceE, which is how I'm going to pretentiously pronounce it, it came out in 2014. And it's, well, I'll have more to say about it in the new year, I think.
And what about you? Why are you wasting time over here? Go get your revenge. Because I want to read everything that you say.
Or maybe I won't have more to say. NaissanceE is a strange beast. It's something that I don't want anyone to play. It's kind of like Infra. It's a game that I just can't recommend to anyone. It's this first-person platformer, and those are already rough around the edges.
You would.
But this game is nothing but rough edges. And it also just happens to be one of the most hauntingly beautiful marvels of impossible architectural design I have ever seen. And not in like the non-Euclidean warp you around way that something like Antechamber is. No. I mean, the scale of this place is larger than anything on Earth and has sights you people wouldn't believe. That was more Herzog. I'm sorry. Now I just want a movie of Blade Runner where Herzog plays baddie. As I was saying, it's a game that I violently had to force myself to get through.
You the last guy? Keep going, you've almost made it down. No, you're not the last guy, damn it.
And I willingly did so, just to see what wonders it had to show me.
Oh, but this screen is. Big Square isn't good at making death trap towers if you keep surviving. Yeah, well, you know. He is good at making, like, faulty revenge towers. God damn it. I'll be really mad if the revenge switch doesn't kill Big Square this time. Well, that about does it for the Christmas video. It's short but sweet this time round, guys, so I will be the Square Mess Miracle if Big Square dies. Oh, it will be. So, again, much appreciated. Did this open up? When did this open up? Was this here the whole time from the start? Anyways, much appreciated, guys, for hanging out. I would say we had a pretty good year, all things considered. I will see you in the new year for what that may bring.
Die, Big Square. You don't belong in this world.
Do you hear the sound of jingle jingle?
Oh, Big Square, you've been very naughty.
Father Squaremiss, you're real? Or you are real?
Oh, things are about to get very real for you, Big Square. Get ready for your gift, the gift of revenge.
A kablame.
Hey, you're not even hurt from that. You disappoint me, Father Squaremiss. Instead of trying to defeat me, join me, and together we can rule more towers.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. I'm easily convinced to do things. Congratulations! You failed to forgive Big Square in 24 minutes. Failed to get revenge in 46 minutes. It took me longer getting down than going back up. You made a new enemy, Father Squaremiss. Great. Number of times you died, 191. Thank you for playing. You beat the game. Press backspace or right trigger to reset data if you want to try again.
kind of tower should we rule next? I don't know, tweet at Evil Object your suggestions. Evil Object has made a lot of games, including some that are released on Steam, which are more tiny tower, big square things, which I might play in the future. We just don't know. We just don't know. So as I said before the end cutscene, and right now, thanks for joining me this year, folks, and I'll see you next year. Bye-bye.